If you're thinking of buying an electric fence to protect your flock, or you've just received it but you're not quite sure how to set it up, this is the video for you. Hello, welcome to English Country Life. Welcome to the chicken enclosure on a glorious sunny summer's day. It's come to us at last. My name's Hugh, and together with the gorgeous Fiona, I run this small holding here in rural Lincolnshire, where we keep and breed rare breed chickens, and we've been doing that for donkey's years. We actually started this YouTube channel because a friend asked us to help them understand electric fences, and we put together a video to do just that, and I'll put a link to that somewhere up above. But these days we run our own shop and we sell electric fences, and we advise people and we give tailored advice on how to set up a fence for your precise needs. But one of the questions we get asked a lot is, how do I make sure I'm buying all the right bits, and how do I set them up appropriately when this confusing great pile of boxes turns up for me? Well, today we're going to go through it step by step and take away all that confusion. When you decide that you want an electric fence and you're planning it out, is where to start is a really hard thing. And I always start with one of these, and I'm not kidding. I put a stake in the ground, and I put that stake where I want to go in and out of my electric fence, and that helps me make some critical decisions. For example, if I put my stake halfway down the field where there's no mains power, I'm pretty much going to be going for a battery setup for my electric fence. But if that entrance is right beside the garage where I've got mains power, I could go for a mains setup electric fence. Let's take a look at what that might look like. Right, we're going to set up an example electric fence to illustrate all the points I'm talking about. And this is the stake in the ground that shows where the entrance is going to be. Now, to power our electric fence, we need one of these. This is an Energizer, and what it does is it produces high voltage but very low current pulses of electricity through the electric fence that can deter creatures from touching it but not injure them. Now, you can get different types. You can get mains powered ones, you can get battery powered ones, or you can get some clever ones like this that take both. And what this one does is it has a special lead for mains that plugs into the side, and then you can plug that into a normal 3-pin plug. Or it has a different set of leads that attach to a 12-volt battery. Here's the thing. If you want to run it off mains, and let's assume I've got a garage or a shed behind me that's got a mains supplied to it, you have to keep the Energizer indoors in the dry. Rainwater and Energizer's bad combination. So we keep that indoors, and we need special leads to then connect the Energizer to the electric fence. Let's show how that might work. Right, here's our imaginary garage wall, and we're going to hang this on the garage wall. This is our Energizer, and we're going to plug it in. Now, you notice here we've got two terminals, a red one and a green one, and they're to connect up to your fence and to an earth stake. So the red terminal connects to the fence, and you get supplied a little lead to do that, much too short to go from the garage. And the green one connects to an earth stake, which is a big metal stake that you shove into the ground. But as we say, the supplied cables will be too short for a long distance, so you buy some extra ones, and they're called lead out cables. This is a lead out cable. It's a single core cable with insulation. This is a 1.6mm length, and this is absolutely fine for, I would say, up to 10 meters or so. Bear in mind, you're going to want two lengths, one for the live, one for the earth bond. If I was going anything much over that kind of distance, I would go with this. This is the 2.5mm cable. It's a really thick, heavy duty cable. And that's going to mean you don't get much loss along resistance along the length of the cable. Suffice it to say, more than 10 meters, just go with the 2.5mm cable. Remember, you're going to need two. And what we did was to bury them in the ground so that I'm not at risk of mowing them, tripping on them, etc. But then you can use mains wherever you want. So here we are back at our stake in the ground, and we're going to install the power system, and this time we're going to do a battery system, but they connect up much the same way with their mains or batteries. So first things first, we've got to install our earth stake. This is the earth stake. It's a great big metal stake that needs to be pushed into the ground almost till it's only got 2 or 3 inches showing above. So let's do that first. Now, obviously, to push a metal stake clean into the ground like that, you need to be incredibly strong and incredibly virile. If you're not, dump a couple of buckets of water on the earth first to soften it. But of course, I didn't need to do that. With a battery setup, it's perfectly fine to have your Energizer out in the open air. And with these Gemini Energizers, they come with a little stake that they clip onto. And he's trying to do this quickly, so I'll probably mess it up, but There we go. They clip onto that, and what you need to do is push them into the ground just beside the earth bond like this. They don't have to go far in, it's just holding that off the soil. We now need to get ready to connect up to the fence and to the earth bond. And what we do is we unscrew that, we connect up this little crocodile clip that has a battery lug on the end, and we screw that to the Energizer and then connect it to the earth bond. Once we've done that, we can connect up this lead, which will connect directly to the electric fence, and again with a lug on that end that connects to the red terminal. So this red lead from that bottom terminal needs to connect to the electric fence. We've got a battery here and we're ready to apply power, but we don't apply power till everything's connected up and the fence is installed. Do you remember I said that you put the power setup for your fence where you want to get in and out? Well, how do you get in and out? Use one of these. This is a hot gate. It's a small piece of electric fence that allows you to open and close your electric fence with the power still running without turning off the power, and it's incredibly convenient. Every electric fence enclosure needs one. But because it's a standard piece, a small electric fence, I'm going to be able to illustrate a couple of clean points to you. First one is, look at the horizontal strands. They're all green and they have little silver flecks in them, and that carries the power. Except the bottom one is black and that carries no power. The other thing to show you is it has a quick connector with a fat bundle of cables on it, and those cables connect to all the horizontal strands except, as I said, the bottom one. And then to that we can attach the positive, the power out from our Energizer. What does that do? Well, electricity comes into the Energizer, it's made to high voltage, low current, it runs up this through the crocodile clip and into all the horizontal strands, but it can't go anywhere until something connects it to the ground. Now, if I touch that top strand while I'm standing here, what happens? Electricity runs up the cable, through the crocodile clip, into the top horizontal strand, into me, through me, into the floor, through the earth itself, back to the earth bond. That's why it's called an earth bond. That completes the circuit and I get a jolt. The reason that the bottom strand of your electric fencing isn't electrified is that is constantly in contact with the ground, and therefore if that was live it would cause a short and the rest of the strands wouldn't work. Now, we've actually got here a piece of electric fence, so why don't we put some power into the Energizer and see how it works. Let's throw some power into this electric fence, both to show that it works and to illustrate an important point. So here I've got my battery lead. It's got a plug on one end, and at the other end two crocodile clips, one black, one red. Black one goes on the negative terminal of the battery, red one goes on the positive terminal of the battery, plug side of the Energizer. The Energizer starts with a green pulse, and that's showing the Energizer is working correctly. And what that means is power is running through the live lead and into the fence but going nowhere. But that fence is live, it doesn't have to be in a circuit. If I touch that fence now, power goes up the lead, through the fence, into my hand, through me, into the soil, through the soil to the earth bond and back to the Energizer. And that's the circuit. So an electric fence doesn't have to be a ring, it can be a straight line, it can be a V shape. I know people who've got a brick wall at part of their garden and they've just got a loop of electric fence to create an enclosure, and it doesn't have to join back to itself. That's important to know. What I'm going to do next is connect a long length of electric fence to my fast connector. But I need to be sure that I'm putting it in exactly the right place. I used to measure out with string, but actually I find now a length of garden hose is much easier. It stays where I put it on the ground, and I can follow it along with the electric fence and make sure that I haven't got a gap at one end, or even worse, that I end up with more electric fence than I need and I don't know where to put it. I've installed a long line of electric fence going off to my right, and we've got the gate here coming out in front of me. I need to get power now into the electric fence. Well, there's nothing simpler. The electric fence also has a quick connector on it, the same as the gate does. And those two quick connectors push together. And if you imagine that I've got my power coming in here, I've got power going that way, I've got power going that way. It's an important point to notice though that you want your fence to join up to the hinge side of your hot gate. The one problem I always encounter, probably because I'm useless, is I can never get those poles to be completely parallel when I push them into the ground. I use a high-tech solution, cable ties, and I just bung 2 or 3 cable ties down the length of the posts, and that keeps them nice and tight together. With everything connected up, the next thing you've got to do is test your electric fence, make sure it's working properly. How do you do it? You use one of these. It's an electric fence tester. This is my favourite model. It's very simple to operate, but it gives you lots of good information. It's got 10 LEDs across it that light up red, amber, green to tell you how much voltage there is across your fence. And all you do to operate it, press the button in, lay it on the fence, and you will get those lights lighting up to show you how well it works. Now, very rarely when I've put in an electric fence have I been able to get it to crash across at 10,000 volts on the first attempt. Normally, because I've got a short somewhere. What does a short look like? Well, in my experience, most of the time it's because you've got something like this, where the bottom of the fence is not fully tight. And that's going to allow that first live wire, which is only a couple of inches above the unelectrified wire, to touch the ground or to touch foliage, and that's enough to cause a short. There's several things you can do about that. The first and most obvious is pull out all your poles as far as you can and get your fence as tight as it can be. The second thing is add more poles, and honestly, in any kind of uneven ground, you're probably going to need to add more poles to your installation. The third thing, which is really important to think about, is make absolutely sure there is no growing foliage beneath your fence, because even if you haven't got short to start with, it's going to grow up, touch that wire and cause a short. Some people put a small line of weed killer at the base of the fence to prevent that happening. Other people put weed suppressant matting just a piece about that wide along the bottom of the fence, again to stop foliage growing up and touching the fence. But whatever you do, make sure you haven't got shorts and you're not going to get shorts. Now, if your ground is perfectly bowling green flat, you might get away with a number of poles that come with poultry mesh, but honestly I always add poles for three good reasons. Firstly, anywhere I'm looking like to get a short, I can add another pole. It lifts the mesh up, stops that bellying at the bottom that creates a short. It also makes the whole fence much more wind resistant, because if you are in an area like we are, where you get 60 and 70 mile an hour winds, constant swaying will loosen the poles, and that again can create a short. The third thing that it can help with is, because the poles are attached both top and bottom, if you've got an area where there's a bit of a dip in your ground, you can put an extra pole in there, hold the bottom of the fence down and prevent any creature sticking its nose in under the fence and pushing through. Spare poles come in basically two types. There are this type, either a double spike or a single spike. They are 13mm poles. They're the standard poles that the fence comes with. But there's also this kind. These are 19mm poles, and they are much more rigid, and they are best used where your fence goes into a corner, because the pole's being pulled in two different directions, and what you want is a really rigid pole that can stand up to that. With all of these poles, what you have to do is remove a little ferrule at the bottom that loops round that black unelectrified piece of cord, weave the post through the fence, put the bottom of it back through the ferrule so it's grabbing the bottom of the fence, and put the top line of the fence into a groove in the top of the post, and that will hold the post firmly in place. Something you need to consider with your battery powered electric fence is, how do I keep that battery charged? It won't stay charged forever, and there are two approaches I particularly like to recommend to you. This is the first one. This is something that we stock through Hotline, and I think they're brilliant. It is a matched pair of 12 volt batteries. So you connect battery 1 up to your Energizer and it starts working away. Battery 2 you actually connect up to a charger, and of course they come supplied with exactly the right charger for the job. So you put that in your shed or your garage or your outbuilding, keep battery 2 on charge. When battery 1 starts getting low, you simply swap them over, and they're small and they're light and they're portable. They're not massive like some of my leisure batteries that honestly give me a bad back to carry. These are light enough that you can move them and swap them at will. Really, really good. What I recommend is you get into a regular routine of doing it, say once a week, once a fortnight, something like that. Another thing you can do, solar charging. Everyone knows I'm really into my solar, and this is a 30-watt solar panel, and it is so robust. But this is simplicity itself to set up. You literally do up 2 of those screws, and on the end of a long wire You've got a couple of crocodile clips, a red and a black. You connect them to the positive and negative terminals of your battery, point the solar panel south, and that's it. Big thing with this is it's really over engineered. These poles are massive and strong. All the screws are really strong. There is even a charge controller built in to make sure that it doesn't overcharge or damage your battery, and it is robust enough that it'll stand up to strong winds. So either or both of those are a great way to go. That's our quick guide for how to design, buy the right components and install an electric fence for poultry, and they're really worth it. Honestly, since we put our first one in, we've never lost a bird to a predator. They really do make that big a difference. Now, you may still have questions, you may have some complexities or things you're unsure of, but we offer a free design service through our shop, and if you'd like to take advantage of that, please contact us through the shop. There's a link in the description down below, and we'll help you get the perfect setup for you. We recently did one that was 1,000 meters long for Iron Age pigs, and if we can do that, I'm sure we can help you find the one that's right for you. If you've enjoyed today's video, can you spare us 5 seconds? Give us a thumbs up down below. Got any quick questions on poultry keeping, electric fencing or self-sufficient living? Leave them down in the comments. We'll either answer you there or make a special video to answer what you want to know. If you'd like to see those videos and everything else we do, just tap on subscribe down there, hit the bell next to it, and then you'll hear every time we upload a new video, and that's a completely free service. But for today, it's goodbye from them and it's goodbye from me. Take care.